two, one. What's going on, kinfolk? Welcome back. Welcome back. Another episode of Key to the City podcast. It's your country cousin Yoni, and I appreciate y'all, man, tuning in once again. We're on episode 32. That's right, episode 32 of season two. And I know y'all see the lights glaring in my glasses, but I need them on right now because I can't see nothing. But anyway, yeah, episode 32, man. We continue to rock on. I think I'm in season two with 50 episodes. That way I'll be a little over 100. And then, start planning something for season three for y'all, man. But anyway, I thank y'all for supporting, liking, commenting, sharing, whatever you've been doing to spread the word about the podcast. We sure enough appreciate it. You didn't have to do it, but you did. And I definitely want to thank all my guests that we had on the show thus far. Episode 31, I had my guest, Dr. Ava Sparks. She's over A Spark Ministries, motivational speaker, definitely encouraging. She gave us some jewels and some gems about how to um, stay strengthened in our faith, man, and not waver because, we're going through a lot right now that we haven't experienced before. And some people are struggling extremely hard right now. So she gave us some jewels to keep us positive. And I want to get a pillow to sit on right quick. I feel like I'm slumping. There we go. But just like with the last episode, this episode is no different. We try to give you quality content with quality guests. And this one I've been waiting on for a minute. We've been trying to link up for a minute. We've just been missing each other. But I finally got him on. You know, I'm sure you done heard of him. The man done put in work. He has projects upon projects. One of the coldest lyricists, not only within the city, not only within the region, not only nationwide, but internationally. And like the young boys say, that ain't no cap. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no cap on him. Released over 7 or 8 solo projects. You know what I'm saying? He's an artist, producer, engineer, over 10 years plus in the game, so he definitely know what he's doing. Um, and just some of the projects I like from him. Well, it's too many to name for one. But recently, I've been on Which Way Is Up. That's one of my favorite projects right now. You definitely got some bangers on that joint. And what's the other project? Child Support.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir. So I'm into it, man. That's why I've been trying to link up with you for a minute, because I also love to pick your brain because I think you are an intellectual as well. Um, and I want to know how you honed your craft over the years and how you do what you do. But he's open for such artists as Drake. That's right, Drizzy Drake, Marvin's Room Drake. You know the Drake I'm talking about. Crew Love Drake, Snoop, Slum Village, Black Eyed Peas, just to name a few. And I like him because his music definitely resonates with you. And no matter what side of the coin you fall on, even if you're trapping and anything like that, he got soul food for you, and he's conscious, and but at the same time he is jamming. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the city, my kinfolk, fifth child. What's going on, big dog?
That was an amazing introduction.
Hey man, I try to
That's
do my
like
thing, bro.
kind of important. Like, hey,
You are, brother.
I'm
You are.
somebody.
You are. Thank you for joining me, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure, man. Yeah, it has been a while in the making. We've been talking about it. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think I first mentioned it to you at Dollar's surprise party we gave him. It was my first time actually meeting you in person. Uh, Although I had seen you, I had never got a chance to actually holler at you. So,
Shout out to
yes,
my
sir.
too. Yeah.
Definitely. When I speak of our city legends, I call them our Nipsey Hustles. You're definitely one of them. So we just want to give you your flowers while you can smell them, your keys, while you can still unlock them doors. And
Yeah.
how your day been going, brother?
My day has been amazing, man. It was really supposed to be my vacation, but I don't
Yeah.
even say, but my vacation ended up turning into like a recording session for somebody that lasted about 5 or 6 hours. So That's
I
my
know how
off
that
day.
go.
Like that's
I,
an off day, you know.
I already know how that go,
It's a
bro.
blessing.
Oh, you got kids?
I don't have any kids. I
No
got a
kids.
dog. I got a
Okay,
dog. That's it.
that's something similar.
Yeah,
I heard they run y'all ragged as well.
basically,
But
basically.
I know the meaning, the background behind the name Fifth Child. Uh, but before I found out, I originally, I just thought first thing that came to mind, he must be the fifth child of the family. You know
Which
what
makes
I'm saying?
sense, right?
You know what I'm saying? Uh, but my audience may not be familiar. Just give us a brief breakdown of the actual meaning to you behind that name.
Okay. This is like the 30-second, real brief breakdown. Is just when I started rapping, I was really just freestyling. And I
Hmm.
mean I was like when I was doing it publicly, I'm talking like 13, 14 years old. And
Right.
I was a battle rapper. So many people might not know about a spot called Seven in
Hmm.
Jackson from back in the day. But I mean, you had people like David Banner in there with everybody else. And so we would have these things called lyricist lounge nights, and everybody would be freestyling. So that's where I really got my start. And I was going by different names at the time. Um, but then when I was, and that once again, that was my whole focus, just like battle rapping. I was talking like gun bars, a bunch of stuff I ain't never done, but it was just like it sounds cool, and this is the
Yeah.
music that I listen to, so I'm gonna just rap like this, right? And
Right.
it was good at it. But when I was 18 years old, and I remember sitting in my mom's living room with her and my sister, and I know that my mom has never had the operation, so that she couldn't have any children. She never had her tubes tied, and
Hmm.
so the order of my siblings, like my brother's the oldest. 2 years later, it was my sister. 2 years later, another sister. Then 3 years before I was born. And I always wonder why they broke that pattern or whatever. And I asked my mom, I was like, did you ever get pregnant again after I was born and and not keep the baby? And she was like, she just stopped for a second and looked at my sister, and they just kind of made eye contact. She was like, I didn't get pregnant after you were born. I got pregnant before you were born. And we
Mm.
already had 3 kids, and we had been moving back and forth from different cities. And I got pregnant again, and your daddy was like, oh, you trying to load me down with kids? We already got 3 kids. We don't need no more. And so he talked her into actually terminating that pregnancy.
Right.
And so she was at the hospital about to have a tubal ligation. She can get a tube tied, and my grandmother was there. And this is in California, so she's like trying to talk her out of it. Like, no, just have one more, make it an even number. Like, we like big families. Like, don't you
Right.
really
Right.
need to
Right.
go through this? And I mean, she had the gown on and everything. Like, she was ready to go into the operating room. Nurse walks in with the clipboard. Like, all right, Miss Brown, you ready to go? And she's like, you know what? I can't do this. Never mind. Got up and
Mm.
walked out. 9 months later, I was born. And so
Wow.
I didn't find that out till I was 18 years old. So it was like, dang, if I'm gonna like be making music, if I'm gonna just live in general, I need to make sure I'm living with purpose. I need to make sure that the words that come out of my mouth and how I use my platform needs to be something that's gonna impact people positively. So it's more of a reminder to myself, like when you're on the mic, you represent more than just yourself, and you need to
Right.
be saying something significant.
Right. Facts. Man, you couldn't have picked a better name. I would have went with that one too. You know what I'm saying? And you were influenced in music early by your brother, right?
Yeah, my brother and
Yeah.
and my dad also had a crazy record collection,
Yeah,
like
your dad.
a ton of vinyl. Yeah.
So what's some of the records that stood out to you back then? Because I kind of your style to me, you give me like a primo J Dilla type vibe. You know what I'm saying? What's some of those records that stuck out to you in your young age?
So the stuff that I mean, just like every other child that ever lived, of course, a lot of Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
but also a lot of Curtis Mayfield, a lot of like as a child when I was really
I'm
really
your mama, I'm your daddy, I'm that
man, man,
nigga.
what man,
Yeah.
Curtis is like in my top 3 musicians ever, like for real. But yeah, a lot of Curtis. But then as I started getting into hip hop, I was listening to a whole lot of Tribe Called Quest, a whole lot of De La, whole lot of Outkast, Far Side, Goody Mob, definitely Jay-Z, Fugees, Wu-Tang, like some of everything.
Yeah.
And it just got broader and broader the older I got. And also when I lived in New Orleans for some time, I was in college there and I was working at a record store. So that's when I got exposed to more rock and folk and electronic and metal and some of everything. So the influences come from all over the place.
I'm always fascinated in how y'all describe yourselves, just as musicians, or do y'all like the title producer rappers, or
At this point, I definitely say musician or artist. And the reason I say is because now at this point when I'm doing music, it's like honestly 10-15% of the time I'm actually rapping. You know what I'm saying? There's so much other stuff. Like it's a guitar right there, it's a turntable right there, it's a keyboard over here. It's like whatever it takes to get the job done and get the idea out. And then I've also been fortunate enough to be able to perform with people of different genres. Like you might see me performing with a DJ one night, and the next night it's with a jazz band or a hard rock band, or just me and somebody with an acoustic guitar. So it's all over the place. But as long as it's good music, that's the goal.
It just seems so difficult to me to, like, I just wonder how it comes together in y'all head and just translates to sounds and beats to make an entire production. And do you write first and then tailor a track to that, or do you
never? Never. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. A lot of times you can hear when somebody does that, because what happens is you start trying to force your words onto the beat. Whereas there are artists who are really, really good at this, and actually one of my homeboys, Slim Push, is really good at this too. But using your voice like an instrument, so where you are in harmony with the beat, it's like your voice can be, it should be just as rhythmic as the rest of the instruments in the beat. And so when there's that marriage like that, it's even more impactful for the audience, I think. So I always start with the beat first.
Is it possible to choose which one you like doing more? Rhyming?
Production or rap? Man, believe it or not, I hate writing.
Word?
I hate it. I don't hate rapping, I hate writing. Because I'm not one of those people who can typically just sit down and just write about nothing. I used to be able to do that. Like when I was growing up, like if we were on a long road trip, I'd have a composition book and a little Walkman with some beats on it, and I would sit in the back seat and just write. And I did that for years, like over a decade of doing that. But as I got older, and even seeing some of my favorite artists fall into this trap where they're writing and it's unfocused. Like you can tell that they had a million other things going on when they were writing, and it's like so it's not as cohesive. It didn't have that kind of substance to it. So what I started doing is I have a full-time job, and so I take the last couple of weeks of the year off, just about every year. And during that time, man, it's crazy. Like God wakes me up at 3:30 a.m. or 3 o'clock a.m. every morning, and I cannot turn my brain off. And that's when I pull out a notebook and some paper and a pen, and I promise it just flows out because I've had time to live between albums. So like all the stuff that I've just been storing up and all the thoughts and ideas, it just starts pouring out once I have that time that's totally focused on that.
Oh man, do you think that's a genius skill? Create music? Can you read music, or are you like more P Diddy type?
I'm by ear. I'm terrible at music theory, and I mean, that was the class in college. Man, I don't think I deserved the C that I got. Like, like he had mercy on me because he saw I was struggling. But like I understand scales, so it's like I couldn't. If you had some sheet music in front of me and says, "All right, Fifth, play this," like that's gonna be really difficult if it's gonna happen at all. But if you say, "Okay, it's in this key," I can be like, "Okay," and let me just sit at the piano for like 10 seconds. I can figure out like all the notes that should go in there. So it's a lot more so by ear. But
and it's it's very few artists that can do both, and like you said, have that cohesiveness. I think of course, I think of Crit, I think of Cole, as artists that can do that and still excel at both. Like that's just amazing to me, man. Yeah, definitely talented brothers. And you also do scoring as well. Like, how do you? I'm assuming that you would um, research the scene first, see what's going on, or are you just loaning out, sending out your music to these production companies?
Well, what has helped me get those scores out most effectively is when I have a point of reference. And if there's I
Mhm.
think first of all, and you mentioned something about genius earlier, I think everybody has genius level talent that they can tap into. And
Mm.
it's just about like knowing what your thing is and also getting to the point where it's like I'm afraid, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Like
Yeah.
I'm scared, but I'm gonna do it anyway. That's pretty much the difference between geniuses and other people. But besides that, what I think I one thing I think I excel at is listening. So when
Hmm.
I say that, what I mean is if you give me a point of reference, like you say, I want something that sounds like Jill Scott, A Long Walk. Like the way my ears and the way it's just trained to do now because I've been listening to music for so long is I can break down every instrument and what it's doing and say, okay, so this is the vibe that you're looking for. I can make something with that exact same vibe. Just give me a
Hmm.
point of reference. And so that's where with the film scoring, that's really helped out because now if somebody's making film, they can say, I'm gonna just put some placeholder music right here on this scene, and I want you to make something that has the same feel. Don't duplicate the same song, but just make something that captures that same emotion and has that same feel. Or even if they describe the scene to me, then I can like, okay, so what's the mood? Is it sad? Is it inspiring? Is it triumphant? Is it what you know? And all those words, the more notes I can get, I can like get it to them immediately, basically.
You already know, man. In the afterlife, man, God gonna have you on that heart, boy. So get ready, or, or them keys or something.
Right. Look, man.
Key to the City podcast. We got my kinfolk fifth child in the building with us. Uh, you mentioned earlier about your full time job. You're involved in education, correct?
Yeah.
And I know that you've also mentioned when you are writing or when you're making music, you kind of think about those children that you deal with and how the message will kind of come across to them. Um, so I guess the next question is kind of rhetorical, but uh, you deal with children all the time. How does music impact them, like in a positive or negative manner? Does it have hold as much weight as people try to make it seem when it comes to them? Not necessarily being fully mature and making decisions and doing what they seem is cool, or peer pressure.
I mean, I think it's just being naive to assume that music has no impact
Mm,
on kids. Because and once again, hip hop is not even when we're talking about hip hop and just music is the whole culture. You know,
right, right,
so I like I said, I grew up listening to Jay-Z for years. I never wanted to be a dope boy. Like
right.
I
Facts,
never wanted to sell drugs. And it's
facts.
like, but that also wasn't the only message that I was getting from his music.
Hmm.
You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Like that's not the only or underlying message in the music. And so I guess I had the wisdom at the time to be able to discern which part is art and which part is this something that I need to go follow. Like I could watch an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I'm not gonna go and like shoot up a whole city full of
The
people.
same
You
thing.
know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It's like so at some point there is some accountability, not just on the part of the listener, but also on their parents and influences. Like it doesn't even have to just be biological parents, but the strength of a mentor. Like I had like a few strong mentors in my life, so I knew the difference, once again between art and something that was just gonna be self-destructive. So
Right.
having said that, not everybody has that.
Exactly.
Not everybody has that. For some people, for some of my friends growing up, like the only male figure they had was 50 Cent, or
Right.
was is the only male figure that some of these kids hear on a regular basis is Chief Keef, But but like I grew up in the household with my dad. Once again, back in the 90s and early 2000s, it was really on some it takes a village type of vibe, at least in Jackson, the neighborhood that I came from. So I had that strong community of men, even if they weren't my biological father, who was still involved in teaching me the right things to do. But yeah, but once again, like I said, I know not everybody has that, so I keep that in the back of my mind as I'm creating.
Yeah, and another thing I think of, which kind of piggybacks on this question, because I feel like we're around the same age, but the kids is growing up now. They got such easy access to everything. I was just wondering how many of them was watching that verses with Gucci and Jeezy, and Gucci was just going nuts out there, man. And it was just, first of all, what's your thought on the whole versus as a whole, like that particular battle? Like, who would you say was your winner? And then, what's up with Gucci, man? Man, what's up with Gucci, man?
Well, first of all, it was I came in with a bias because
Yeah,
I'm like hardcore Jeezy fan.
yeah.
Hardcore Jeezy fan. And the thing is, I like the flashy cinematic, like the orchestras type Jeezy, like the Justice League beats and the Olympics, and like I like that. I mean, I like his hood stuff too, but I particularly like those real lush arrangements and stuff like that from Jeezy. And he didn't even do any of that stuff. He just did street stuff, which I mean, for that versus it makes sense. Because that's really that's his history. But his catalog is so much deeper than even the stuff he played that night.
Yes, Lord.
But, and like I said, I like all of it, honestly. Now I was never a huge fan of Gucci. I get it though. Like I understand. For people who really, really rock with Gucci, like I understand. But as somebody who I definitely love production, but the lyrics catch me first.
Yeah.
The lyrics catch me first. And then with the production, Jeezy used samples a whole lot more than Gucci. And so me growing up on sample-based music, that's once again the stuff I gravitated to. And even the subject matter was more well-rounded to me than Gucci.
Yeah.
Once again, having said that, like I get it. I get it. But
did your mouth drop when that truth beat dropped? I said that boy ain't gonna play that song, man.
Man, cause look, I was watching it with my wife. Like we were sitting there eating dinner and watching the verses, like in my studio or whatever. And and that's I was like, babe, he playing that song. Like, do you know what he says in that song? Like he's been saying, hey, like he's right there, man.
He's right there.
He's sitting right there. And I was like, wow. Like, cause I mean, you see rappers, perform diss tracks, but rarely is the other rapper like sitting 10 feet away from you when you're doing it. And I mean, that's not just any diss song. He's like bragging about murdering your friend in self-defense, but he's like, and then the ad-libs at the end, like, yeah, put that nigga in the dirt. Like,
put him in the dirt. Like, I was like,
wow.
Smoking on that Pookie low. I was like, come on, man, you going too far. But hey, man.
But it was a moment though, and it's like we heard about the I Declare War show years ago when Jay-Z brought Nas on stage, like and how big of a moment that was and stuff like that. But there were no bodies involved in that beat. Like nobody actually got physically harmed. So just to see them end it on that note, I thought that was huge. I thought that was huge for the Versus platform. I thought that was huge for Southern hip hop. Like, in general, going back to your question earlier about people being influenced by music, like we need more images of conflict resolution and constructive conflict resolution. Like it doesn't. That's
Okay.
something that we don't have. We see the front part of it. We know how to get into beef, but we don't see public images of grown men, grown black men, settling stuff. So
Man, that's a good point. I didn't even think about it like that. I'm glad you said that. Uh, Man, I got so many questions for you. I'm gonna try like 3, 4 more. I don't want to hold you over.
I'm good with
Uh,
that.
One before I get into the production projects you dropped recently. I kind of want to go off on a tangent and like, why is age such a factor in hip hop when it comes to artists? You don't have. Am I breaking up?
Start breaking up a little bit. Say something.
Test, 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 test,
It's
test.
better. You good now?
All right. Why is age such a factor when it comes to hip hop artists? You don't see that. You have rock and roll artists, country artists that tour to they 75, 80, things like, or even R&B. But why is it with hip hop that we kind of put like, even though I feel like we kind of coming out of it. Of course, Jay been doing his thing. You got recent projects by Buster.
Which is
Uh,
tough. That bus project is hard. Yeah.
hard. So you think as time progresses that eventually fades away or what?
Well, I think it's for a number of different reasons. Once again, like I said, hip hop is not just the
The
music.
music.
It's the culture,
Mm.
and the culture was started as like youth rebellious culture. You don't see, and while we do see older rock bands, we don't see many like older punk rock bands. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Because it's like just this subsect of the culture is kind of geared towards youth. But then we also didn't see many instances of older rappers aging into hip hop gracefully. Because what would happen is they would try to do stuff like the young guys, and
Right.
it just didn't work. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You look more uncool trying to do stuff like the young guys. So like, yeah, Jay-Z and Busta are, doing well and making that transition. And once again, there's a lot of other artists who are doing that as well. But
Hmm.
they're also not trying to hop on Uzi Vert songs. You know what I'm saying? It's like they know, okay, this is my lane and I'm going to this is where I'm not saying I'm not gonna grow artistically, but I'm also not gonna be that old guy trying to play basketball out there with the young guys. So it's gonna look weird.
Hmm.
And I think there is a perfect lane because hip hop has grown up, hip hop fans have grown up, and we want to hear what somebody with a wife and kids has to say. Like I think that there's good content that can come
Facts.
from that,
Hmm.
and not everything is in the club. That's not my life experience right now. So I like to hear people rap about what I'm living as well.
Facts. Good point. I couldn't say it no better. As you mentioned earlier, if you had to choose, you hate writing. And we can tell you love production a lot. Um, you're known for dropping a bunch of production projects. First of all, what's your outside of getting it out of your head and enjoying your craft? What's your purpose behind the beat projects?
So all right, I have thousands of beats, right?
Hmm.
And I don't mean that when I say this, I'm not trying to sound I don't mean to sound petty or passive aggressive, but when I'm making stuff that I'm not able to sell off into artists here, either because of the price or because if a bunch of people want trap beats, it's like, well, I have so much stuff that's not trap. Like, what am I gonna do with it? You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
every now and then I get artists that are like, no, this is exactly the style that I'm looking for. Like, great, let's work. But
Hmm.
I also while I want to be versatile in my production, I know what I really enjoy making. And I know I really enjoy making these melodic, like sample-based beats. But once again, if I don't have the audience of people who are gonna rap to it, man, you know what I do a lot is like I'll go and find acapellas of trap songs and put them on top of my soul beats and be like, look, you
I
can
saw
do
that.
this.
Yeah,
Like it can work. Like,
yeah.
you know, I put last time I checked, there was Man on These Streets. That Jesus, like I put that on a soul beat. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a whole list of projects on my Bandcamp page called Gems, and it's
Mm-hmm.
Gangsta Elevator Music Sampler, and that's what all that whole series of projects is. Just me putting trap acapellas on soul beats. So once again, because I want to hear it, and I find out that fans want to hear it as well. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, even if I don't have words to it, let me just start putting out these instrumental albums because I like to listen to instrumentals and
Me
find
too.
out that other people do too. So why not?
Yeah, I'm always driving, man. I bust a freestyle in a minute.
Exactly, exactly.
So it's perfect. What's the most recent one? Shut Up and Say Something. What's the meaning behind that title?
So that was always meant to be. I always planned to do a project like that,
Mm-hmm.
and especially with those track names.
Yeah.
But I didn't know it was gonna be called that until like maybe a day before. You know, I just
Mm-hmm.
came. I knew I wanted to put out a instrumental project, and I knew I wanted to be like protest music themed,
Right. Right.
and yeah, and once again, I knew it was gonna have those titles, but the names came up like right before I released it. So I actually put that in. Most of the beats are old on there too, honestly.
Wow.
Most of the beats are pretty old, but still capture the mood that I wanted for it.
You have to be inspired to make a beat, or you just it's second nature right now.
I'm always inspired to make beats. Always
Wow,
inspired to make beats.
man. Oh, I think initially I lied. Said which way is up. It was like my favorite project from you. I think I'm gonna put it at like either 2 or 3. Because honestly, the conversations with God is the best to me. Um, you're a monster,
Absolutely.
man.
I remember vividly making that. I
Hmm.
definitely do.
What mode was you in behind this album? Like, was it like a full circle moment for you or something?
Well, with my conversations,
Yeah, or just reaching deeper into your spiritual bag?
with my conversations, that's number 7. Yeah, it's number 7. And
Hmm.
so the way the projects kind of go, like it was Fifth Child, the self-titled album was the 5th one, and that one was kind of like I just wanted to show my range. So it was
Hmm.
like every type of song, like every type of beat, like all kinds of stuff all over the place, and I liked it a lot. But I knew the next one I wanted, but it was all stuff I was comfortable doing. And the next one, um, Love Letters and Suicide Notes,
Hmm.
that one was a bit darker, but I wanted to tell a story. And so that one had like an actual theme that I was shooting for, like one central theme. And so when
Right.
it came time for my conversations with God, I kind of dealt with a lot of my personal issues that I was dealing with when I made Love Letters and Suicide Notes. Um, I was a lot more mature. Like I
Hmm.
just got a new job, and so I was just in a different headspace with my conversation with God. But I was also at the time really examining the whole idea of fatherhood, and that's the underlying theme of that whole project
Yeah.
is fatherhood. And so I got my dad talking on one of the songs,
Hmm.
and then the intro. I don't know if you familiar with that movie Fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that clip from Fresh at the beginning
Hmm.
with Sam Jackson,
Yeah.
talking to Fresh and stuff like that. But yeah, it was really me dealing with that whole idea of fatherhood and mentorship and being held accountable for what you say on
Hmm.
records and I guess show them vulnerability. Yeah.
You did it, man. Powerful project, bro. And what's your thoughts on like the just the local scene in Jackson right now? The artists, the different type of music we have coming out. Um, what type of space you think it's in right now?
I think right now it is probably better than it's ever been.
Agreed.
I think it's better than it's ever been for a number of different reasons. One, because you're seeing artists really take ownership of their destiny. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're not at one point we had to wait for certain venues to let us in the door, and now we're creating our own spaces.
Right.
You got young artists who are getting out there and like shooting videos regularly and creating content and engaging with fans and taking advantage of social media. And I mean, they're just doing amazing things. And one, like I was telling somebody else recently, that there's a Mississippi artist for whatever, like a Jackson artist specifically, for whatever style you want, like whatever type of rapper you like, whatever type of hip hop you're into. There's somebody from here that does something like
right.
that. You know what I'm saying? And then also seeing the artists that are my age and around that same age just create art that's off the charts, like the stuff that Coke Boomaye is doing, you know, stuff that Dollar Black is doing, and creating a brand around their music. I think that stuff is incredible. My only not even criticism, but one thing that I would just like to see happen more often is I want to see artists be able to monetize their brand. I want to see them be able to actually get it. Like the artists who you think, you know, maybe super jamming, everybody knows them doing real well, like on platforms, stuff like that. And then you find out that they're not even registered with a PR, right, and getting no royalties for anything. They put out this album, Miss Super Jamming, and it's all leased beats off YouTube that they can't even really make money off of. It's like, man. And on the producer scene, it's like you got producers who make incredible stuff, and they're like, man, I don't even know how to get somebody to use my stuff. So I just been giving stuff away because, like, man, if anything, that's the side that's where the void is, the business side of things, you know, and yeah, that's where the growth, where there's the greatest room for growth at the moment.
Maybe you need to start charging for some classes, man.
So but funny you should say
that. Keep it under wraps, don't.
Funny you should say that. Yeah, but no, seriously, like there are very practical things that people can do, and that's what I think they don't understand. This isn't like, oh man, I'm not gonna tell you unless you pay me, sort of thing. Like, I'm talking to any and everybody who asks, like, if they have questions, let me help you avoid some of the obstacles and roadblocks that I ran into. Let me tell you now, I know this place, this little online contest, whatever, they're saying, oh yeah, you pay this money and you can open up for so and so, or we got these A&Rs from such and such gonna be in the building, you can pay for. Like, absolutely not.
Right.
Not. And I can't tell you, and like, I don't even cuss, but man, like, I've gotten really heated discussions, like when an artist told me that somebody was trying to charge them to perform. Like, are you crazy?
So you don't believe in that model at all?
No.
No matter who's for.
I don't. No, I don't. In pay to play, no, I don't. Because the thing is, especially not in a city like Jackson. In a city like Jackson, I mean, there's 1 degree of separation between you and anybody.
Okay.
You and anybody. Jackson is that big. And, you know, rather than waiting for this promoter to put you on this show and charge you for this performance, like you can literally go talk to the venue owner yourself and say, look, this is what I've done so far on my own, and I might not get, you know, 500 people in here, but this is a show that I want to put on, and you'd be surprised how many people are willing to work with you if you are professional, you know, and handle it like a real businessman, man. And so no, I'm not with that at all. I'm not with that at all. Well, I'm sorry, I hate to keep going, but
no, go ahead.
I'd rather see than 5 artists pay a promoter to get on the show so they can perform. It's like, okay, well, how much does it cost to book this venue for this night?
Come on.
Because if it's $500, you got $100, you got 100, you got 100, you got 100. Let's put in on it. We'll do the show ourselves, promote it ourselves, and keep all of the money.
Exactly.
Create our own fan base. Like, that's where my head is at, and that's the point I want to see the younger artists get to.
Exactly. I'm with you, man. You just gave a sermon right there, man, on everything. Last two questions for you, I promise. Are you satisfied with what you've done so far in your career?
You know what? Every time that I release an album, I sleep well at night because I know everything that I had in me up to that point, I gave it.
Okay.
Every project, I don't leave anything on the table. Like, so because of that, what I've done so far, if you heard something from me, that was the absolute best I could do at the time.
Okay.
You know, and so I'm always looking forward, always looking to grow, become a better rapper, because like I think I can grow a lot as a rapper, honestly. You know, I think I can grow a lot as a producer. Just the music that inspires me and the music that I listen to, the ideas that bounce around in my head. Sometimes I think I'm not famous enough for some of my ideas. Like, man, if I had all the money and resources, this is what I would do. Like when Kanye was talking about the Glow in the Dark tour, and like I want to have like giant like all that stuff. But I'm satisfied with what I have done so far. I'm not stopping anytime soon because I know there's so much further I can go.
Lastly, what does success look like to Fifth Child?
What does success look like to Fifth Child? Success looks like being able to create on your own terms, on my own terms, and for it to be received worldwide. I want to be able to create on my own time. I want to be able to create the music that I want to make and market my image the way I want to market it, and it be received on a worldwide platform. I think I gratefully appreciate the stuff that you said today, you know, about like the albums that you listen to and just how my music how you have a very positive reaction to my music. And what I always think is, okay, you feel that way and you're here. You're here in Jackson. So it's like, I'm sure there's somebody in Australia who, if they heard it, will probably feel the same way.
Exactly.
And so I'm happy with what I've done so far, but I know it could be on a much bigger scale. So success in the fact that I'm true to myself and I don't put out a record unless I feel like my heart was in it. So I'm successful in that aspect. And I feel even more successful, like I said, once again, when I can reach the ears that have never heard Fifth Child before.
Well, it's coming, dog. You just gotta, I say, keep doing what you've been doing. And you know, especially nowadays with social media, you get across the world immediately. You know,
very true. Very true.
So we salute you, man, here at Key to the City. And you know, everybody go out and support this brother. Give us your social media handles.
Everything is at Fifth Child Music.
There it is right there. You see it right there on the screen.
Go
out.
I said that's another lecture for young artists about linear marketing.
Speak on it.
One handle for everything.
Okay.
This is Fifth Child Twitter, and this is your boy Fifth Child, and blah blah blah. This is like one message. It's that search engine optimization.
Give me the technical term for it again.
Oh, linear marketing.
Linear marketing.
That means that's one message that like you can type in Fifth Child Music and a million links will pop up because every social media platform, all that, it's the same thing.
See, that man a teacher, man. He gonna school you. Hey man, you need to go ahead and get on that class, brother. Start working on it. I'm sure you already in the works with it.
Yes, it's in the works.
But like I say, we appreciate you stopping through, King. Appreciate you, everybody that's tuning in, watching this episode. Continue to support, and we're going to keep bringing you guests like Fifth Child, man. This is a Key to the City podcast. I'm your host, your kinfolk. Keone G. He is fifth child. Peace and blessings. We out. All
Peace.
right, boss.
All right. God bless.
Same to you, bro.